the executive VP and general manager of the Seattle Seahawks, John Schneider, here on the Rich Eisen Show. What is the GM doing right now? Look at you have your schedule, don't you? You got it in your hands. You got it?
Oh yeah, I'm going to tell you everything about it right now.
Well, don't do it because I don't want to get in trouble.
Keep it quiet.
No, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I'm telling total tales out of school here. I've been doing it for 24 straight hours. They made me sign a waiver to get it early. By the way, I had to sign on a document. I had to sign an actual document and send it in to NFL security.
I get it. No waivers over here, but I don't want to be fired.
No. We're good. Everything's good. But you have in fact gotten it and received it, and you've seen it by now. Are you happy with it? Let's just talk generally. Are you happy with your schedule, John Schneider?
I think in general terms, yeah. I mean, every year, there's different. Last year, obviously going to Germany and looking at the travel schedule is rough. So we always look at that being up here. You look at that right away.
So that's what it is. You look at away dates and things of that nature. Bye week, right? That's something you look at when you get your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. And so where does the bye fit in?
Sure.
When are we playing East Coast games? What time of the day? Early, late. How we're going to be able to take care of the players.
Love it. John Schneider, Seattle Seahawks Executive Vice President. John Schneider here on the Rich Eisen Show. Our radio audience just returned. So, John, walk me through your draft night, the most unpredictable draft I can recall. I've done about 20 of these, close to it. And you've done more. It's so tough to predict. You're sitting there at 5 with somebody else's draft choice. And I know I talked to you and I talked to, Pete Carroll beforehand. And so you're kicking tires on everybody, but you have absolutely no idea what's happening with the quarterback market in front of you. Walk me through your night, what that was like for you.
It's interesting because I agree with you. It was a very odd draft, especially at the top. In previous years, we'd be able to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe, I don't know, 7.
Yeah.
But we got into this thing. We're really close with Scott Fitter and Dan Morgan and all those guys in Carolina. And, as many beers as I try to buy those guys, they would not let me know what was going on. So we didn't know literally until, I think everybody kind of found out at the same time, like, okay, one is definitely going to be Bryce. And then after that, it was still wide open until the clock really started. And so we were, we had a ton of contingency plans ready. We personally believed that, we had, Devin as one of the top 2 defensive players in the draft, and we're, really excited that he was still there when we were able to pick. We had set it up where, if he was not there or another player was there, we were going to try to go back. But other than that, we were just really excited to get Devin and get rolling with it. But yeah, great point. It was really interesting, every pick in there, and is Stroud going to go too? Where's Will going to go? And
right,
all those guys. It was really interesting. Devin was very quiet. I think everybody, that's what made me nervous. People weren't talking about him a ton until, I guess people in your industry, Rich, weren't talking about him a ton until maybe a week before, something like that, as being a top 5 pick. So that made us pretty nervous. But other than that, we're really excited that he was still there and we were able to pick.
Well, I mean, most of those in this industry were pegging Devon Witherspoon for the Lions right after you. And interestingly enough, Lions trade out as soon as you take the kid at 5. What did you see in him? Like, why him over every defensive player minus Will Anderson at your disposal at that point in time, John?
It actually was a really pretty easy study because he's a guy that when you watch the film, there's a really, really natural, instinctive football player that can sit in zone and has a really good feel for route concepts and the crossers and then ball skills obviously, but then really the physicality, just jumps off the charts. I know Pete compared him to. We were kind of arguing throughout the spring. Pete was comparing him to Troy Polamalu. I was comparing him to Dale Carter. A lot of people kind of struggled with Dale Carter. They didn't really necessarily know who he was. But I was with him in Kansas City, and just such a physical corner. And, that really stood out. Obviously, everybody's seen the play against Indiana. maybe ad nauseum now, but that kind of play was consistent in every game you put on.
And so you went obviously in that direction. If you don't mind, Jalen Carter was sitting right out there as well. And I know you like Witherspoon, you love him, and that's why you took him. Was he in consideration to you? What can you add to see if?
Yeah, we had a great visit with Jalen when we brought him in here. He was in consideration. We just felt that Devon was a better fit for us, and Devon had a great visit with us as well. And so we were just, the physicality part is what really stood out about Devon. Obviously, Jalen has a ton of natural talent. It was just, there's a couple guys that were really we call them true. They have to be a blue player on our board, and that means and a green player, which means that you have the grit and you're a green guy, meaning that you are a Seahawk. And he had all those things, and so we went for it. He had both of those.
And Jaxon Smith-Njigba was your second first-round choice, and you sparked a run of wide receivers. He was the first one taken, and then three more after that. Why him over everyone that you had?
Yeah, really plug and play. It was an interesting group there, and to your point, they went bang, bang, bang. Yep. And so we were blessed that he was there when we picked, but. Plug and play guy. He's only there because of the hamstring issue he had throughout the season last year. I think if we talked at this time after the draft, you would have said, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, Stroud, Jackson. Those guys would have been in the top 5 guys that would be mocked in this year's draft or whatever. Mm-hmm. And at this time last year, but yeah, really just plug and play, and really was gritted it out at his pro day. Wasn't going to run a 40, decided to run a 40. Went through the routes with CJ. Great hands. Obviously, we know about the competitor. You can watch that Rose Bowl game. Time after time. It's one of the more impressive things I've ever seen.
Yeah, he had a record day in Pasadena, no doubt about that. So plug and play. We're going to see him week 1 whenever we find out where you're going to be later on tonight is what you're saying. That's your plan, obviously, for this kid.
Yeah, definitely. He's a guy that fits great with Tyler and DK and the group of guys. It's a really cool group we have right now. So we're excited about that.
Well, and then you choose Zach Charbonnet in the second round, and he is a terrific player, dynamite player. UCLA is where you drafted him out of. So how does that fit in with Walker, who had such a terrific season? And I asked that question. A lot of folks are wondering that. They may not know about the always compete signs that are all over your building. But yeah. I understand the sense of competition, but how does it work, do you think, here?
True compliment. Really, all these runners have different skill sets, and so Zach, we thought was a great compliment to Ken. That position is, in terms of staying healthy and durability and everything that goes into it, it's a hard position throughout the season. You really need 2, 3, 4 guys. Sometimes it'd be 5. 2 years ago we lost, 3 runners in a week, and had Marshawn Lynch back at the end of the season. So things can happen pretty quickly at that position. And I guess first and foremost, the fact that he ended up leaving Michigan was stood out to us.
I didn't think you'd coming, right? Go there. I understand you. I know that's tongue in cheek because I know you value Michigan guys because you chose 2 more later on. You know what I mean?
I know. We were thinking should we go back-to-back Buckeyes? We went back-to-back Wolverines. So we were like, let's just do that.
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But
as
you were saying,
John, moving on. Perfect compliment.
Oh my gosh! Yes, he was at Michigan, but you chose 2 other Wolverines, sir. I noticed that. I love Morris and Oluwatimi are really, really good players, and they're maulers, man. I know that you like those guys. I know you like the maulers on that line. John?
Yeah, Mike dropped. He dropped down like 270, 271 to try to run faster at the combine and at his pro day and everything, and just had a great visit with his agent and realized, hey, look, I'm at the end of the day, I'm a 290-pound defensive lineman, and that's what we had texted with him that morning, and he was 292 that morning. That was Saturday, and so we were excited. And he's going to be a defensive end for us, and obviously you knew him well, real active hands, up and down the line of scrimmage, high motor, tough dude, and really excited about him. And then Olu, coming in there, especially all the talent they had on that team, the expectations they had in Ann Arbor, coming over from Virginia, being named captain in the spring. And then, being involved in different systems, he's just a real smart guy. You can't move him, moves well. We're really excited. And I know you hear that all the time, right? Like it's kind of like when we talk to doctors after all these guys have surgery. Like, I never heard a doc say, "Hey, I don't know, it was an okay surgery." I mean everybody feels.
Yeah, it was success-ish. Yeah, ish. We're positive-ish. Yeah, I get it. I know what you're saying on that.
Yeah, no, we're just really excited he was still there, and I know you're gonna hear that as you ask me about all these guys, but
right,
it's true, and I think everybody at this time of the year really is with all their guys. So
sure,
the evaluation process, bringing them in, and then once they're here, kind of resetting with them too, and evaluating, getting to know them even better as a person, and then. How can our staff, coaches, support staff, everybody help these guys advance their careers? And, everybody in this building takes a ton of pride with that.
So now, I don't know if you'll answer this question. How about that for a wind-up before I ask the question, John Schneider? But you choose two Michigan guys, and normally you like to talk to the coach of the school before you take the kids. Do you handle those conversations with Jim Harbaugh instead of Pete? Or does Pete actually have a conversation with Jim and ask him what his deal is? Anything like that?
With that, not head coach with these two guys. Yeah. We had great visits with them. We spent a lot of time with them in the spring, and so we had really, Jason Barnes does a great job with us. Our assistant director, of college scouting,
right,
and has great relationships there. We had drafted Frank out of there a number of years ago, and Clark, and we used to have really good contacts there. So. Pete, myself, I don't think Pete spoke with Jim, and neither did I. But we used to have great relationships there, and he runs a great program. So, they're very accommodating to the scouts and having access. But with those two guys in particular, Olu going down to the Senior Bowl, and Steve Hutchinson, works with us as well.
Oh yeah,
works with the offensive linemen a lot, and
that's
so
right.
Obviously, Steve had a great feel for him too. So we had a lot of really cool exposure for those two players in particular.
All right. So you took the high road with that one. I took the low road. I appreciate you doing the right thing, John. I'm sorry. I just know Jim and Pete had that set to like literally a lifetime ago. I just didn't know if anything lingered, but
yeah, let it go.
Okay. But I'd like to wrap up this conversation with two guys coming back. Let's talk about the Prez. What's with Jamal Adams? How's he doing? You expecting? What do you got for me there?
Yeah, he's doing well. Company answer is that we don't know exactly timeline.
Sure.
You've got to keep progressing here. We're going to take it. Very very bad injury. Very unfortunate for Jamal.
Yeah.
For our team last year, really, he was crushing it in the first half of that Denver game last year. You could see the intensity and you could see the difference maker that he truly is early in that game. So we really missed him, and throughout the season. But he's working his tail off. We want to be really careful with this. It's been 2 years in a row where he's been banged up now. We had traded for him, and he came in and set the sack record for DV with like 9 or 10 or something like that. And then it's had 2 years now where he's been banged up, and we want to be really careful with his progression. So training camp, I'm just not sure. We'll see where he is when he comes in for the OTAs.
And then kind of lost amongst the shuffle, Bobby Wagner, sir. I am just jacked up for you, right? That he is back in the fold. What was that conversation like? Was there you need an air clearing and all that was required first? What can you share with me, John?
Yeah, you're on it. Absolutely. In this business, you have to, like every year, you have to adjust after the season, and you have to make tough decisions, ugly decisions. If anybody tells you that they handle, their business, if people don't have any regrets about the way they handle their business, I mean, congratulations. But yes, we had to have a meeting, and on both sides, he represents himself, and I know that I could have handled things much differently, and we had a great conversation about that. But then just our culture and clearing the air, and being able to come to an agreement, and have those private man-to-man conversations, and he was excited to come back. He's a legend, first ballot Hall of Famer. When we played down there with the Rams, you could see the guys after the game were all basically standing in line to hang out, and especially the young guys like Tariq and Ken, they couldn't wait to meet him. So having him back in the building's awesome, not just for the players, but for the Dave Pearsons and the Eric Kennedys and everybody in the building. The cafeteria, Stu in this cafeteria, everybody's just really excited to have him back in this building.
And I'm sure the city as well. Again, when we find out the schedule as a human race tonight, I can't wait to see the first home game, when that's going to be. And whoever is in charge of the seismic monitoring from back in the day of the Beastquake, when Bobby Wagner comes onto the field for the first time, that is going to be lit, as the kids say, in the stadium that day or night.
Wow, you sound like a teenager.
I do. Look at me. Well, I mean, your coach is one, so you should understand what that sounds like. It's true. I mean, but that is going to be nuts. That will be the 12s will go.
It will be. When he came back this year, I mean, the crowd went nuts for him. It was awesome. He got a standing ovation, and the place was super loud, and yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool seeing him in the 54, 45. Yeah, I was kind of hoping to wear 9 there, but I get it. He couldn't wear 9 with the Rams, but
yes,
that's where he wore in college.
That's right. Yeah, that was occupied. That sure was. Hey, John, thanks for the time. Greatly appreciate it. Let's do this more often. It was great
Sounds good, buddy.
It was good to see you at the combine and things of that nature. Good to see you, sir.
That was fun. Get to hang out with Jeff next week, by the way.
Oh, is that right? What? Curb is coming back. If I'm when are you going to be on Curb, John? When does that happen? What's going on?
You're going to have to ask Jeff. I don't know.
Come on, you've got the chops. Although, well, here's the thing: is that I think the Jets trump the Seahawks in that organization.
Unfortunately, yes.
Thanks for the call. You be well. We'll chat soon.
Okay, you too, Rich. Take care.
Yeah, that's John Schneider right here, general manager of the Seahawks. He's referring to Jeff Schaefer, who's the EP and director and writer of Curb.